So guys, I know you're familiar with cold outreaches, but have you ever heard about warm outreaches before? Yeah, actually, warm outreaches. And you might be asking, what are warm outreaches? Some of you already know warm outreaches, but you don't know how to implement them. You don't understand them. While some don't even know anything about warm outreaches. And warm outreaches is another way of outreaching to clients and prospects. And actually, it has much more higher advantage of returns in terms of clients that you might secure or you might seal. So what is a warm outreach? Well, a warm outreach is an outreach that is done based on familiarity with the prospect, based on a familiar connection that has been already established with the prospect, the client, or whosoever the person is. It is done out of familiarity. Unlike cold outreaches that most of the time you don't even know the person, you have no idea anything about the person doesn't have any idea about you. You might have idea about the person because you might have done your research, but the person does not have any idea about you or anything, and he doesn't trust you as much because there's no reason he should go for you because he doesn't know anything about you until maybe you outreach to him and start to introduce yourself. But a warm outreach uses an established familiarity and established connection, so you can engage someone in a warm outreach when, for example, maybe the person is actually following your page or following your Twitter or following your YouTube, or the person comments generally, or the person knows you a little bit or something, and you realize that okay, this person is a possible client and might actually need your services, and you could reach out to the person based on that familiarity, and the person will be like, oh, hey, I know this guy, I've seen some of his stuffs, maybe I follow him on Twitter. So you are trying to work based on an established connection. Thereby, the person can easily trust you much more easily because he has seen you or you've been around his space, so he's more free to speak with you and to reply your messages. So a warm outreach takes advantage of an established connection. Another thing that a warm outreach can take advantage of is contextual information. So information that the client has an idea about, or something you could go into their DM and you're talking about something that they are familiar with. They might not be familiar with you, but they might be familiar with something that is a very good conversation starter, and both of you are talking on something that both of you are familiar with, and eventually you outreach to them that okay, here are my services, this is what I do, would you be interested? Thereby the client would feel like he knows you or is familiar with you because both of you have same likes in something. So you could introduce a contextual information in which both of you have even if you don't have a context about it, at least the client has a context about it and understands it a little bit for that to be a link of familiarity. So it is actually very easy for you to lock a client when you have a familiar established connection with the person. And in order for you to get a connection with the person, and one major thing you could do is follow the person on his social media, be communicating with the person directly through his comments or through, like, the more the person sees you around his space, the more familiar your face will be. So if there's a client that you are thinking of working with, you could be reaching out to the person, replying to his comment, engaging his posts, engagement, bringing you yourself much more familiar with the person. So by the time you outreach to the person, it won't just be one new guy randomly from somewhere. At least it's not just a cold DM, it is a warm DM, and gradually it will become a hot DM. So it becomes more easier once you be engaging around the person's post, around the person's things, around the person's engagement skills, whatever the person is doing, and the person starts to get familiar with you. And maybe you now finally bring up a conversation, a topic based on the person's post, and bring it into the person's DM, and you guys are engaging on that, talking on that, then you make your move, you make your sale, and eventually you find it much more easier to close the client. At least even if you're not able to close the client will give you a genuine reason why he didn't go for you. Maybe not because you are just random or one new guy, but maybe for a genuine purpose. So it's much more easier for you to close a client when it's warm outreach. It's just that you have to do a lot of work to be able to get the clients from being cold to being warm, and it makes it easier. You could do this on your dream client and be like, okay, you've been around the person so long, and eventually one day it just clicks and you get that client. Sometimes it's a long journey. It's not something of one day, but once you get the client, it's wonderful. And by the way, I'm going to solve this Rubik's Cube in the next video that I'll do. So keep in touch, follow and subscribe, whatever. See ya. Peace out.